Niching down is one of the most powerful things you can do for your career coaching business. And being able to own a vertical is one of the best ways for you to build a seven-figure career coaching business. And in this video, you're about to watch a live recording of a conversation we had with a very successful career coach, Samuel Adeyinka. He's the CEO of Evolve Your Success, and he's owned the medical sales niche. And this is a 1 hour and a half conversation diving into so many amazing topics that includes how to deliver more value, how to increase your prices, how to own your niche, and how to specialize and increase more value with owning your niche. This conversation was powerful. There were so many great questions asked by the audience that are probably the same questions that you have before committing to the niche. We talked about the different levels of adding value to your program so that you can then increase prices. We talked about how to use contractors and have a team of 40 plus contractors to increase the value of your business. And we talked about what are the first things you need to be outsourcing in your business before you make it big time. So without further ado, enjoy the conversation. Welcome to another live session of the Career Coaches community. Super excited to see so many of you guys here today. Today's special episode, or not episode, but show or live call is super special to me because I have my best friend when it comes to building businesses. Samuel and I actually met, was it, what, 7 years ago?
2016.
2016. We were both using a business coach, and I don't know that we got much value from the business coach except our relationship, but that was enough because I think it's flourished a lot since then. And then we met in person at a Tony Robbins event, and then we decided to continue our relationship and masterminding. And I'm telling you guys, when me and Samuel met, we were further behind than 100% of all of you in this room. We were so green. We were so lost. We were losing so much money. We did not have anywhere near the businesses that we've been able to build now. And throughout this whole time, Samuel and I have worked a lot, share best practices, mastermind a lot. And it's interesting. And the reason I'm sharing all of this is because in the beginning, like about 5 years ago, 6 years ago, Samuel and I had two different theories of how we should build our career coaching business. And to me, there's two ways to do this. You can do vertical, so you pick a niche and you own a niche, or you can go horizontal and say, okay, I help international STEM students, but then instead of expanding to vertical, I can go help business students. I can go help liberal arts students, right? Samuel, he has over 15 years of medical sales experience. He started his company, Evolve Your Success. His first program was helping people break into medical sales, and he decided to own the vertical. So he's owning all medical sales from their first job to being good at their job to helping them get promoted and so on. And fast forward in time, I think we both have been able to build really big successful businesses. But I think looking back at learning from my experience and learning from Samuel's experience, I doubled down. I think Samuel was right. I think that the best way to build a seven-figure career coaching business and long-term success and make that business like not only seven figures, but like multiple seven figures, be able to build a $10 million plus business, I do think it's in a vertical way. I think it is for sure in a vertical way. And so this conversation is actually about that. It's about why owning your niche is probably the easiest path of less resistance to building a very long-term business. And so Samuel, man, welcome. You can introduce yourself a little. We can open up.
Yeah. So, hi everyone. It's great to be here. Right now I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people on the screen. Is that everybody that's here, Daniel?
There's 15, man. There's
15. Okay, man. I wish everybody could shut their cameras. But yeah, I'm happy to be here. Yeah, that's what we're gonna get into today, guys. Daniel and I, we both approached our businesses in different ways, and it both led to success in different ways. He went after a market where he was reaching everyone with the mastering college to career, and I went after a market that was specifically and only for medical sales. And for those of you that don't really know what that is, think of Medtronic, Pfizer. Do those companies ring bells for anybody here? Okay, I see some heads nodding. So think of those companies People want to be in the commercial sales force of those companies. So they want to work on the sales force as a sales rep in the medical device company or pharmaceutical company or biotech company. And that's where my expertise comes from. So when I focused my entire niche and any service, anything on the life of that representative, that's when we really started to get some traction and truly take off. So I'm happy to be here to get into the details of how we made that happen.
Love it. Samuel, can you tell us a little bit about like the evolution of your business and how like you when did you decide like, hey, I'm gonna double down on my niche. This is great. Like the evolution from I guess LinkedIn and your podcast, which is all niche
Yeah,
related, all
yeah.
of that.
I actually think it's an hilarious story. So guys, before I started, when I met Daniel, I was doing uh sales coaching. So, as a sales rep, I had already been a sales rep for, maybe 8 or 9 years. And as a sales rep, I started doing sales coaching for anybody, medical sales reps, real estate agents, food reps, AKA Daniel was a food rep. That's how I met him as a food sales rep, banking sales. By the
Yeah.
way, guys, every single industry has sales reps, if you didn't know. So I was coaching all these guys and they would say things like, hey, man, we want to be medical sales reps. How do we come from these different industries become medical sales reps? I already knew that I wanted to start a business. And I thought that as I was doing that, people were telling me this. I still thought that the product that I should have to introduce myself to the market as having any kind of offering is a sales training product. As a medical sales expert, I'm going to give you a product that's going to teach you how to sell better. So I went to LinkedIn. At that time, we didn't know what we were doing. So I hired somebody that told me she can get me a thousand followers in one day. I paid somebody and she spammed 1,000 people that had no business in my vertical at all. And they all became my followers. And I tried to sell these people that had no business being in medical sales a sales training program. Nobody wanted it. I took it to my own audience and network. Nobody wanted it. And I sat back and I said, okay, what do people want? And of course, all these people saying, hey, how do we get into medical sales? That's when I said, you know what? Maybe I should make a product for how to get into medical sales. And maybe I should do it on LinkedIn. We still didn't know what we were doing. And I was still hiring people to spam everybody else. But that product started selling and then the rest is history.
That started selling and then I felt like that's when you doubled down on medical sales. Like you're like, hey man, I was like, Samuel, you should start a podcast. And like, you just named it. Like we talked about creating what name I remember I was
Yeah,
designing
yeah.
on
So
Canva.
okay. I'll give them the whole story. So I'm trying to sell this thing. I'm trying to LinkedIn. Both Daniel and I are learning LinkedIn. He's
Yeah.
taken off with it. He's figured it out. He's figuring it out as we go along, and he's
This is
telling
like
me,
5 years ago, guys. Like we're
yeah,
going
this was more than that. More than that.
yeah.
This was like a while ago. And so he's telling me, hey man, I don't think spamming is the way to go. There's better ways to do this. And we start learning these better ways. And then I started working on this product that helps people get into medical sales. As I'm working on this product, people start buying it. At first, it was just me. I started coaching them. Then I started coaching a group, like I'm sure many of you started. Then coaching a group became I needed more coaches. Then I needed a customer service department. Then I needed more coaches, and we became a fully fledged business. And then COVID hit, and that's what really transformed our trajectory. We were doing fine before COVID, but when COVID hit, and a lot of healthcare workers were burnt out, and a lot of people that had losses from COVID wanted to help. And it just kind of created the perfect storm of everybody wanting to get into medical sales. Now, people have always wanted to do it, but I guess the idea of doing a career like that was just that much more on the radar. And then that's when Daniel came to me and said, hey, man, I just started this podcast thing. I think you should do the same. And I said, yeah, I've always liked that kind of thing, but I don't know. That seems like it's going to distract me from this LinkedIn thing I'm trying to get going. And the few clients I did get, long story short, he convinced me. I started the podcast. And then that's when things truly took off for a lot of obvious reasons. I'm sure you guys can deduce. I had to find guests. So I had to force myself to find people that I could learn from that were in different spaces within medical sales, people that were on all sides of medical sales. And really, it gave me the opportunity to find out where the real issues lie, from the person that wants to get in to the people that hire them to the people that work within getting them in that entire process. That put us on the map and people started coming to us out of the woodwork because of the podcast, and that allowed us to eventually create, a company now where I have, gosh, over 11 employees and 50 independent contractors, and we're doing very well.
And the podcast is called the Medical Sales Podcast.
Right. And everything we did, we did the podcast was not a passion a project, like I'm sure you guys have heard from other people. The podcast was very deliberate, and it was designed to give people an opportunity to learn about this space, understand what's going on in this space, and something that would be readily available and obvious that this is what we're doing. And that's why we named the Medical Sales Podcast. But I say that because I want you guys to hear another thing that I've learned over time. So I'm sure all of you, for those of you that have your businesses, whatever you've named your business, I'm sure it's played into the success of your business. And some of you haven't named them yet, and you're kind of figured out what it is. Our business is actually called Evolve Your Success. It has nothing to do with medical sales from, face value. You really have to fight to make that connection. But because we had the Medical Sales Podcast, because my entire background is medical sales, when I put us out there as Evolve Your Success, with me as the face initially, and that platform to listen to what we're talking about, it amazed me how quickly Evolve Your Success was just lumped right in with medical sales. I mean, now, we're one of the bigger players in that space, and we are Evolve Your Success. It allows us to do different verticals in the future if we so desire to. And it surprised me that we were able to become a significant brand in medical sales, even though we have this Evolve Your Success name. I share all that with you guys because I truly believe that if you focus on the niche that you know well enough, and you focus on trying to own that person for life, it's gonna show you a pathway that you won't learn otherwise. For example, that sales product that I was selling when I tried to start and nobody wanted, that's like our second best seller of all of our program offerings now. Because after people saw that we can get them into the industry, what do you think they clamored for next? They clamored for sales training. And then we were able to build further coaching and even more sales training. And what we're trying to do now is we're trying to own the entire life trajectory, professional life trajectory of a medical sales rep. From what is this to how do you get in? What do you do when you get in? How do you perform? When you become a leader, how do you become a leader? When you're a leader, how do you make sure you can take care of your team? If you want to go into second line, third line, CEO, how do you get the executive coaching? Just capture the entire life of this person, and it's just allowed us to fly, guys. It's really allowed us to fly.
A couple of things I want to kind of like keynotes I think are takeaways is his company is called Evolve Your Success. His podcast is called the Medical Sales Podcast. If he was to have a community, it's the medical sales community, right? It's like you're using that as, because in the beginning, when clients don't know who you are, they don't care about your company's name. So they just care about like, is this going to solve my problem? But once they're inside of the program, then the Evolve Your Success branding becomes important. And that's when they start correlating it together, right? I think Ellie's doing an amazing job doing that. Like Rock and Secure is her company, but her podcast is on her niche. Everything, her community is her niche. And I think that allows them to get into your ecosystem. But once they're in the ecosystem, they learn your brand, right? I think that's really important. I think the other really thing I think Sammy have done very masterfully is how you've incorporated experts, people inside of industry to be supportive of your program, right? So can you share a little bit more about how you get professionals, experts, and to support your clients, and ultimately how that ecosystem has worked really well for you?
Yeah. So so the podcast is designed to show people what medical sales is all about from every perspective: the surgeon's perspective, the regular physician's perspective, the senior leader in a medical sales company's perspective, all the way down to the sales rep. And we noticed that we're getting all these fantastic guests. I mean, heads of the top companies, and they wanted to help with what's going on with our students. So we created this network where in our program, every one of our students gets a mentor. They get a student mentor, they get a medical sales mentor, and they get a chief mentor that oversees all the students within our program. And that level of customization, that level of assistance, it it gave us a window into what's really going on with our students that I think gave us a serious advantage. And it allows us to create a model where we can work with anyone in an independent contractor relationship that can give us their time, give us their energy, improve our systems, get compensated, and it just revolves. And when you think about the nature of our business, at least the first step, which is getting the job, you can already see how it created this organic network of referrals. So now, we're averaging, we tell everybody that we can get you a position in 90 days, but we're averaging 89 days because our network is so built out. And like I said, we have 50 people in total. 11 are our core employees. Everybody else is an independent contractor. So we have a network of up to almost 40 people that are literally working, day in, day out to get anybody that comes into our system opportunities. I mean, it's like a referral network on steroids, and it's allowed us to focus on just making sure we get the right type of candidate. I think, here, I want to share this, Daniel, and I don't know how many people already know this, but I'm going to share it anyway. When we first started, it was all about pick me, pick me, pick me. We're the better program because we're better. We don't do that. And we're better program. We don't do this and we don't do that. Pick me, pick me, pick me. And we got sales and we got traction and it was cool. When we changed it to don't pick us, you might not even get with us. We're going to put you through an interview process. And maybe if you have what it takes, you can get into a program that's going to do things a little differently than what you're used to. It was amazing to me how that dramatically changed our close rate. It dramatically changed our volume. And so we doubled down on that psychology. So now to get into our program, you have to take an assessment. You go through 4 interviews. It's a high ticket. You can't even know the price until you talk to someone. And it's just created this demand that people are now clamoring to get into our program. And some of them, they've spent 20 grand, 15 grand, 10 grand at some other program that didn't work for them. And they're ready to go spend another 15 grand with us because they're like, wait a minute, you guys, with the process you're putting me through, you guys must be the real deal. And then on the other side of that, we've incentivized everybody we work with. So we're called Evolving Success for a reason. I don't want our students just evolving. If you're going to work with us, you need to be evolving too. So we have pathways in our program where we're having all these individual contributors. For those of you who don't know who those are, that's a sales rep. Join our program to be mentors, and then we're giving them tools to say, hey, if you're trying to get promoted in your company, if you're trying to be a manager one day, trying to be a second line leader one day, we have resources for you too. So now we have our students evolving, we have the people that are working for us evolving, and everyone's doubling down on making sure we're that program that's very difficult to get into. And if you get into it, we're gonna take you to task. And then I'll say this last thing, Daniel, I'm gonna give back to you because people are just gonna be like, this guy rambles. So when we take them to task, we started with our program at $2,000. So initially, no, it was actually less than that. We started at $500. $500, and I'm going to help you get a job in medical sales, right? That became 2,000. That became 3,000. And then it jumped now to 8,000. And then now we're finally at 12,500. How the heck? And this was all happening in what, 4 years, Daniel? 4 years? Yeah. So how do we have that kind of price increase in that little time? And this is where the psychology came in. When we introduced all the, how hard it is to get into our program and we made it highly customized, then we raised the price. It increased the demand. So I say all that to say, you guys have probably heard 1,000 times, raise your prices, raise your prices, raise your prices. There's truth to it, but I don't think it's as canned and just happens if you just raise your price, you're suddenly gonna get all these people. Check out the psychology of how you're attracting your customers. Check out whatever you're using to give you the credibility that you're the person to go to. And then evaluate your sales system. Are you guys saying, pick me? Or are you guys actually saying, look, we got something that can change your life. You have the opportunity to do it with us. If you choose to explore doing it with us, you're going to have to work during that exploration. All right, pass it to you, Daniel.
No, I want to add so much, like not add, but like highlight some things that are really important. You can't raise prices if the price is not, if you don't raise your conviction at the same rate of your price change, right? I think what Samuel's saying there too is like, you can raise the prices, but if you don't raise the way that clients perceive your program, right? If you don't raise the application rate, if you don't have the testimonials on the proof, people are not gonna pay for it. And so I do want to make sure that you understand that going from $500 to like Samuel did to going to 12,000 plus, it didn't happen overnight and it can't happen overnight for you either. Your program has to be elevated. Your social proof has to be elevated to that. Now, there is a psychological term to that. There needs to be, but you can't just, oh, I'm just going to quadruple my prices without quadrupling the value, because then long term you won't have a business, right?
And I'll say this, it's exactly what Daniel said. So don't, please, no one misconstrue my words about raising your prices, because here's the catch. You raise the prices. So let's just take us. We went from 3,000 to 8,000, 8,000 to 500. Each jump, we had to go to task on matching the upgraded price. And the market was what told us if that was justified or not. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, there were some people that were like, absolutely not. No, you shouldn't be this much. And then we had to level up our services to warrant that. But this is the beauty of that whole process. If you have the resources to level up your services to match whatever price you're claiming that meets the industry standard, and you have the psychology in place that you have to work to get into the program, and you have the credibility, whether it be a podcast or your LinkedIn platform or whatever you guys are doing, to show that you are the person to go to, when you do all those three things, they work like together. Yeah. So doing those three things, it drives the price kind of almost organically. Does that make sense? Yeah. Let me see like a raise of hands or verbal yeses or nods. Does that make sense to you guys, or am I making absolutely no sense?
I think a good thing
Yes,
here
it does.
is that we all have a limiting belief that we can't sell our coaching program to $10,000. Like, or we can't, like, I had that limiting belief. I think even, I know Samuel for sure had it too, because we couldn't believe that what we were selling for 500, that we would eventually sell it for 5,000. Like in our heads, we were like, Daniel, can you believe that? Like, I remember Samuel was like, can you believe that look, I am selling the program for this. And I remember if you look at the videos I've made, I used to sell the same program to $350 because I used to think that my market was not Samuel's market. Like he's helping, like I would say, I was helping college students, and a lot of Samuel's are nurses or teachers that are going into medical sales. But it is an limiting belief, and I think the challenge that I have for you guys, Corey, and I know you have a question, and Spencer too, is you could charge 4x your pricing. It's available to you. Just we have to solve the value perception and the social proof perception, and that's what takes longer. But there is a market out there, and there's enough proof, and I'm willing to just point out multiple coaches inside of our community and people that we all know on LinkedIn that are charging 5 figures or more for the service that you're providing at a couple $1,000s. So it is there.
Let me chime in. So this price thing is a hot spot for me, right? Because I was that guy. I was like, what the heck? I'm $500. I know I'm worth more. I got all this value to offer. How do I put myself in a position to charge more? And with every guru telling me just charge more, it's not good enough. I appreciate you telling me that, but so what? That's not. I tried it and nobody bought it. So what now? What, right? So I would say, first of all, what is the market standard? Everybody needs to figure that out. In my market, there were people that were charging as low as 3,000, 2,000, 3,000. There were people that were charging as high as 20,000. So it's a pretty varied market, but at least I know that my floor should be no less than 2,000. So the 500 I'm doing, I need to bump it up no matter what. Let that guide you. The next thing I'd say is when you get clients and you're working through your clients, implement, and of course, some of you, I'm sure a lot of you, if not all of you, are doing this, implement a survey. I still slap myself on the hand for how long it took us to realize the value of that, because so many of us are looking to the competitors and looking to the market and trying to find out what to do next. If you just have a survey from your very first client and never ever deviate from that, where you're literally asking them, what is your experience? What did you appreciate? What did you like? What didn't you like? What do we do best? Is this justified? You will have your own market that's telling you you can raise your prices or telling you you should raise your services. I'm going to say this, Daniel, never lower your prices. Me and Daniel learned this the hard way. We lowered and raised. And every time we lowered, it was just bad news. You always raise your prices or raise your services. And that's one thing that I have to stress, because I think being a coach in this career space and helping people get what they get, you see everybody doing it and you think you can do it, but there is a level. There's a level there that I call it a standard. And you have to meet that standard before you get any traction. And if you're under that standard, you'll get a little bit, but no one's going to want to be consistent with you. If you can get yourself to that standard, all these other things we're talking about are going to fall into place. Does that make sense?
No. Awesome. Let's go open it up for some Q&A. Spencer, you're first. And then Corey, if you still have a question, then you're second. And then
Yeah,
if you
so
go ahead and start putting it in the chat, because we know what happens. We always run out. So first come, first serve. Sorry, Spencer.
you're good. I'm sorry. I was going to say, first of all, thank you, Samuel, for showing up. This is great. But my question is, earlier when you're talking about, right, having this big old network, you had mentioned contractors. So I was a little confused on, is this working like you've got contractors that are helping grow the network of the people coming into your program? Or are you working sort of like a staffing agency where you have connections where you're like, hey, come grab people out of my program because they're the best?
To your point, I do both. So number one is where that drives the bulk of our business. The second thing you mentioned is something we do on the extra for that much more. One thing I'll say though that I think is critical and that no one, well, I don't know, Daniel, you guys know, but all of you know better than I do, because I'm not a career coach as much as I am a medical sales specific guy that's currently that kind of coach. You know, the culture is critical. So, Evolve Your Success is the name. One of our taglines is, if you work with us, not for us, right? Of course, my employees have to follow this, but if you work with us, if you're not running to your computer to go do what we need you to do as you're working with us, then you probably shouldn't work with us. I literally tell anyone interested that at the door. And we have all of these initiatives within our program that literally drive this behavior of, you will be compensated well enough for this work, but your reason for being here needs to be focused on providing value, and you need to be the kind of person that's committed to giving back. If you're not that person, if you're about money only, or if you're about just seeing what you can do as a side hustle for some change only, we're not the place for you. I always believed that that's just the way I should be. I didn't realize how critical it's become and how it's really driven a lot of our success, because if you guys met the people we work with, it's just amazing. You think we work with a bunch of volunteers at a homeless shelter or something, that we're just here for the goodness of our hearts. And it seems that way. We're all compensated, but I think driving that culture piece is critical, and it needs to be driven for your employees and independent contractors. So if you guys are running your businesses and you haven't really spent a lot of time on that culture piece, I would challenge you to just do it now. Whatever you want your culture to be about. Are you the company that gets results? Are you the company that everybody leaves with a smile? Are you the company that, whatever your thing is, figure it out and start implementing it now?
To add there, I think, Spencer, is one thing that really helped us is whenever our team was like at 5 people, I read Traction, which is the book I recommend a lot, right? And I think for all of our clients, I sent that to you guys for Christmas. But in there, it talks about having core values, and it sounds mushy and hoorah, like a Fugazi kind of thing, but it's actually really important, because a lot of times, like, our core values for our business is our personal core values. So like our business has core values of being relentlessly people focused, right? Have dream big, execute smart, and then having a grit mentality. And we attract people with those same beliefs. And it makes a lot of sense, because those are how our people make decisions. And it has played a bigger role than I ever expected it in my organization, because the bigger you are, the less access they have directly to you personally, right? And so how do you instill that culture? And when you get to a point where, like Samuel, he has a lot of 40 something independent contractors, there's no way that Samuel talks to all 40 something of them every month. Like it's impossible for him to do that, right?
Yeah, we have so I'm sure you guys heard that. I'm like, wow, how's he doing that? So we have mentor managers. So we have, again, the way we did it is we want to grow from within. So we hired initially we hired medical sales mentors. a number of them were just better than everybody else. They were exceptionally gifted at helping people get positions and consulting them on how to do it. So we made them mentor managers. And then all the new mentors we put under those mentor managers, all under a chief mentor manager who's just like Tony Robbins, reincarnate. So that system has it's just become a beautiful system of accountability with serious people that have done well in their positions that want to give back and get compensated for it. Last thing I'll say, and by the way, let me ask you guys this. Am I saying a bunch of things because I can't stand when I go to these things and it's like, dude, I knew all this last year. Am I saying a bunch of things you guys know? It's okay. I can take it. Okay. All right. All right. So one thing that I will say that helps with the that accountability piece is when we have these medical sales mentor managers and we have them under the medical sales mentors under the chief mentor and he's doing all of his things, you give them the onus that, hey, we're growing as an organization. If you manage this well, there's room for you within all our growth. And it creates this culture of now, in the beginning, I used to bring problems to everyone. How come you're not doing this? How do we get this done? How do we do that? Now people come to me every day. Samuel, I want to do this now. I want to take it there. I want to take it here. And so the company's growing now and it's not being driven by me anymore. It's just, it's driving itself. And I think because we're so stuck on that culture piece, we've been set up to grow that way.
If you guys were here last week when we had Gurov, he talked about different levels. Like, don't compare it to his chapter 15 to your chapter 1, right? I think, let me try to piece this together to where most of you that I know are today to where Samuel is today, right? A lot of the people those contractors were people who are working a couple of hours a week for him. They have their full-time job in medical sales, right? And they were just working a couple of hours, right? And what he ultimately identified, there's some people who are better than others at their job. I mean, it's really normal. And he would just give those people more hours, right? And to eventually the business grew where it can sustain some of them to be full-time employees, like full-time W-2 employees. If you're in America, you know what that means, right? And I think that's like, that's the level. Like this, where he is today, didn't happen overnight. It is a thing that he's been building on foundation, relationships on relationship. I remember like Samuel and I talking literally a couple of weeks ago about how do we move one of his all-star contractors into a full-time position. I'm over here like brainstorming ideas with them and how do we ultimately make this work, right? Because I think that's like a really good path of their contractors. They have a full-time job. It mitigates their risk of them. You're not saying, hey, quit, make every risk and leave like, I know most of them have family and a spouse, right? He's saying, as our business grows, and like, I love what Samuel said. I said, own that project, own that department. And if you can grow it to this, then here's the path of you doing this full time. And so a lot of them were able to do that and be able to pay for themselves, right? Because we're business owners, like we can quantify that this person was able to help this many more placements brought this much more revenue, was able to pay for this. And so everyone wins, right? Because now you're able to reinvest some of that revenue into giving those people more hours or even a full-time job. Anything you think I missed there?
No, you nailed it, man. And your crowd is awesome. I'm reading the comments now. These guys are great. You guys are great. Let me I want to address some things that people are asking. Can I call people out by name? Are you guys comfortable, or are we trying to this discretion here? Tell me. Can I call you out, or is that a problem, Daniel?
I think they're good on
this. Okay. All right.
If you don't want to be called out, you can hop off. I don't.
You don't want to be called out.
I think this is a collaborative.
Yeah.
Everyone like.
And when I do these things, I'm calling you. You can't hide. Like you will be called on. You're going nowhere, and everybody has to talk. So anyway, all right. So let me get into Marisha because I'm gonna read it, Marisha, and I want to address this because this is great. So I'm worried I don't have the credibility to work a vertical niche. My background is sales recruitment, all markets from grad to director. I was a recruitment trainer and most recently helping people transition to tech, cyber, coding, project management. So I feel like I'm not an expert in any niche. I set up my job search business a month ago, so a lot to do work out, but would love to make a decision on this. Okay, so I'm gonna blow everybody's mind right now. I am a medical sales influencer in the medical sales niche, and we've helped now probably over 1,000 people get medical device, pharmaceutical, and biotech jobs. the lion's share of our niche is medical device sales. It's a popular niche. There's a new medical device company every day. It's just where it's at. I've never been a medical device sales rep. Ever. I've never sold a medical device sales product. Ever. But medical device reps, hiring managers, senior VPs, and CEOs come to me for advice on medical device sales. I'm gonna go around. I'm gonna open up the room, Daniel. How?
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I think you're about to answer the question I want to give you. So,
I'm opening up the room. I'm gonna stop talking now.
oh, I was saying,
else. No. I don't even want you
okay,
to answer.
okay,
I want them to answer it.
Go ahead. I'll be quiet.
How does that exist? Anyone can answer. Raise your hand and please talk. I don't want no chat stuff. I want to hear your voice.
I'll do it.
Okay, because I was about to call a name. Who was that? Who was that?
God, they turn on
That's
your
me,
camera,
John.
man. Why you
Oh
hiding?
man, I've been on calls all day. I'm like,
Come on, let's
I'm
go,
done.
man. Camera
All right.
All
on.
right, John.
All
Tell
right.
me how. And by the way, hold
Let's
on.
do
Let me add some more to it. I have a fantastic reputation. Everybody that works with me in the medical device space gets value and goes to report about it. How does that exist?
Well, you took away my answer. I was going to say that you built up the credibility in the space, right? Like through probably your content, through the people that you were speaking up to, the lessons and the insights that you were sharing with everyone. I think that's probably what draws everyone to you.
You nailed it. So, let's go back to Marisha now. Marisha, and then for everybody else here, your credibility it's really not about you. Now, you helps, but it truly is about what you can do. So you got two choices. You either double down on you, and I'm that person, I'm that guy, or you double down on I'm connected to it and I've done the work in that space that gets results, and you run with it. And I'm telling you guys right now, that imposter syndrome is real. Daniel has felt it. I have felt it. Everybody feels it. Fight through it and focus on providing results. If you get results for the clients you're claiming to be able to work for, no one will care about your credibility. People care about your credibility when you're doing trash or your stuff doesn't work or you're just putting, nonsense out there. Yeah, everyone's talking about your credibility. But if you're getting results, no one cares. And even then, when they find out, they're like, they still don't care. Because now everybody knows what my background is, but no one cares because they've seen the results we've gotten for the last 6 years and they want it. And that's all that matters. So I would say, Marisha, don't stress on that. Find ways to showcase that I might not, you don't even have to address that you did or did not do it yourself. Showcase that you work with these people on a regular basis. Showcase that you understand their pinpoints as well as anyone else that's in it. And that's all anyone's going to care about.
But to that, if you have those self-limiting beliefs and you're like, I don't know how to get results, find relationship contractors that they have that expertise in that particular thing. I think, Samuel, one thing you did is that you were interviewing so many people in medical devices through your podcast. So you did learn the industry because you
fair. That's fair.
Them,
that's
and
fair.
then you brought them to speak to your students, and then they became contractors. So when it was very specific, you had credible resources to back up that what you were saying was true, and you weren't just like, oh, I'm going to make this up and hope this advice works out.
No. It was all real advice.
And I think that's where it's super important to say, like, hey, Marisha, you might not know the answer and some of it, but can you associate yourself with people that do know the answer and partner with them through a podcast for free, contractors where it's more established relationship? And I think, like, I'll give you, that happened to me when it came to immigration law, right? I hired an immigration expert. I would bring immigration lawyers, and to a point where now I can answer 99% of all immigration questions because I just have spent so much time with those experts that unless it's super specific, I can speak from a point
right.
of
And then guys, don't forget, if you can figure out what your public facing thing is, right? Some, like, for me, well, I'll speak for myself. For myself, it's LinkedIn and podcast. We're like brand new to Instagram. I'm like learning Instagram like now, and it's terrible, I know. But Daniel didn't beat me up about that 5 years ago, so I never caught on with that one. But
because I sucked at it too, man. I'm like just doing it, starting it.
We're about to go nuts now. But okay, but I'm losing my train of thought here. So when people see whatever your public facing platform is, when people see that you're interacting with the audience you can help, whether you've done it or not, that's all they care about, right? So Marisha, when they see you and Marisha was interacting with you, I was a recruiter trainer most recently, so I feel like I'm not
Sales,
sales.
recruiters,
Where is the
coders.
imposter syndrome? What part of this which vertical is imposter syndrome showing up?
Everywhere.
Fair enough.
because
All right, so
because
let's take
I was a recruiter.
Okay, let's
I
take
was
a
a
recruiter into
recruiter for
sales.
salespeople.
Okay, the recruiter salespeople. As long as your public platform shows you interacting with those people on a regular basis, no one will care. Period. And use that to your advantage. I'm gonna tell you something even better. I actually think there's value in being someone that's connected to a space and trying to find out everything about that space, through the people that have had the experiences, multi-layered experiences. That's going to be as powerful as the value of someone that's been there. Because remember, the person that's been there, it's their personal experience that's tainting everything. Their personal experience that's biasing everything. And when they get big and get in front of everyone, they're going to have to learn to manage those biases. You, Marisha, you don't have those biases. You just understand what needs to be understood. And you can even have more empathy for the client. So you're resonating with things the client needs to see that the person that actually experienced it is not even thinking about, which gives you the advantage. Guys, don't sleep on that. It's a powerful thing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now I want to answer these questions because I feel like the red is just getting like 4 messages, 5 messages, 6 messages. So let me knock some of these down. Okay. Can you give more specific examples of how you increased your services in the beginning of your business journey? This is Corey Collins. Hey, Corey, what's going on?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Hey, man, come on. All right. So can you give more specific examples of how you increased your services in the beginning of your business journey that led to you jumping your prices? What I've learned is adding more to your program doesn't necessarily mean you're adding value, gold. So what ways did you add value into your program that gave you evidence that you were going to increase the price? All right. Man, this is good stuff because this is like the hardest thing. I'll always say this is the hardest thing. So here's the reality. If you guys are too low priced, no one's going to buy, people will buy your stuff, but you're not doing yourself any favors. Corey, first and foremost, you have to learn what the industry standard is. And you have to, Daniel might feel a little differently, but I do firmly believe that you got to start with the lower end of the industry standard and do not go lower than that. I don't care how imposter you guys feel. What you guys got to realize is if your price is too low, your clients will go in thinking that your stuff is not worth salt. And that's not the issue. The issue with that is they will not put in the work to get the value out of your program. And then they're going to trash your program and while not putting the work. And you're going to be like, does my program suck? And it doesn't. But because you're bringing all these people that aren't going to do it anyway, you're starting to feel like it does. And now you're beating yourself up and it all goes downhill from there. So number one, make sure you start with if you want the lower end or the middle end of the industry standard. That's number one. Number two, you nailed it, Corey. No one cares about all the things you added to your program. No one cares. It is all about the success. So you each got to find what is your number. For us, it was 90%. That was our number. Now, in the beginning, if you help 10 people and 9 get jobs, that's 90%, right? Is that a high volume of people that I've helped? Let me ask it again. I've helped 10 people. Is that a high volume of people that I've helped? No. Ellie's with it. Ellie's like, absolutely not. But am I lying if 9 of them get jobs? No. So you guys got to find what that number is for you. What is that number that is your truth and doesn't need to reflect how many people you've actually worked with? For us, it was 90%. And my thing was, as long as we can stay at 90%, at minimum, we can keep up with inflation. So we're definitely going up 3% every year, no matter what's happening. And at maximum, we should be able to go up 5 to 10% every year at the very least. Now, you're going to hear people.
You lost me. You're having 2 different numbers. So you're 90% success rate, but what does that have to do with inflation?
Well, inflation's the raising my prices.
Oh, gotcha, gotcha,
Dan,
gotcha.
you gotta let me finish, man. You can't
Okay,
bring
okay,
me
okay.
here and then
All
cut me
right.
off midstream when I'm like breaking it down for these lovely
Break
folks.
it down,
Okay,
bro.
so
Break it
can I
down.
continue?
Please break
Please
it
break
down.
it down. Okay,
Please,
so
please,
all
sir.
right,
Please break it down.
so let me say it better because I want you guys to follow me. So let's just go back, right? And so I'm selling my program at 500 and I'm claiming 90%. And my claim is real because I've helped 10 people and 9 of them got jobs. Now I want to help 20 people. My goal is to get to that 90%. Now you're going to hear gurus say every 2 sales, change your prices. Me and Daniel took that advice hook, line, and sinker. And every 2 sales, we would increase our prices by like $500.
As long as our
As long as our closing rate stayed at 90%. So this is why I'm saying it's all about that number. I'm claiming 90%, and then this Q1, I'm $500. I'm still at 90%. Q2, I'm $1,000. I'm still at 90%. Q3, I'm $1,500. I'm still at 90%. Now I say we're gonna go. So when I started, guys, I didn't even have a course. I was using Google Drive. Yeah, I was that guy. I was using Google Drive, videos in Google Drive, and I was like, I'm gonna add you to the Google Drive when you get added to my course. Then I finally figured out Kajabi, and I turned it to Kajabi. Now that is not a value add, but if you look at Google Drive and you watch videos, and you look at Kajabi that has an online course and watch videos, what's your perception? Anybody can answer.
It just looks more professional, more streamlined.
And
I was going to say the same thing. You're set up.
And this is the beauty of our business, guys. This is I'm gonna say it right here, Daniel. You've always heard perception is everything. I truly believe that, if you're a doctor, perception matters, but it's not everything. If you're a lawyer, perception matters, but it's not everything. In this business, it's everything. Because the moment I went from Google Drive to Kajabi, my own clients are like, whoa, Samuel, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I can't believe you charge us so little. I'm like, wait, what? I doubled my prices. So because they acknowledged my change in aesthetics, perception, I doubled my prices. But here's the kicker. What did that do? It brought us more customers. Why? Because people went in believing that this is something I need to give more energy to. And because I changed the aesthetic of my course, they're giving me 50% more. And because they're giving me 50% more, it's even easier to stick to that 90%. And because I'm still at 90%, I can continue with that $500 to $1,000 every single quarter. And then I would bring other things. Okay, so I told you guys that we have 3 mentors. So I changed the aesthetics and then I added a mentor. Is it a value add? Of course it is. Does it mean much to the client? Maybe, maybe not. But this is how I spun it. I said, listen, you've been in so many online programs where you're just clicking through modules and maybe a group class and that's that. In this program, you're going to do that and you're going to have somebody at your beck and call, making sure you're doing the right thing, making all the right moves, yada, 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 yada. Now, in reality, those are an independent contractor that would give them a call every 1 to 2 weeks, 30 minutes max. But because I was able to differentiate their experience and say that they're going to have someone by their side, I didn't say that's my value add. They said, wow, what a value add. And I said, you're right. Let's go ahead and double our prices. And stuff like this kept happening. Now, the beauty of doing it this way is you're not just randomly raising your prices. And you're not spending all these hours pumping all this stuff into your course, hoping that they're going to get value. One is driving the other. And when one is driving the other, it's pretty much driving itself. And that's how we got to where we are now. We're 12,500. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. The best clients you've ever seen. I have clients now that join the program at 12,500 and say, Samuel, I'm behind. Please, I know you're the CEO. I know I'm working with the coaches, but I just want to let you know I'm doing my best. That's how they're coming at us now. I was very long-winded.
But I think there, Corey, that's where also niching doubles down on that because you can then provide things that only your people in your niche need. Like for international students, having an immigration expert, massively value added because how much would it cost them to hire a lawyer? $300 an hour, where I can pay the $300 an hour, but I have 300 students. And so it's $1 per student. And so it's subsidize it, right? So that's like, those are the things. Kyle does a really good job with his pitch deck or pitch book, right? That's a really expensive subscription, but for startups, that makes sense. So that's where I actually even think that when you niche down, and own the niche, you can think about what are things that only people in this niche need that other career coaches won't even think about offering because it's not related to their.
And Corey, first of all, Corey, did I answer your question?
Definitely. Yeah, 100%.
One thing I'll add is, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. Do the surveys. Are you doing, okay, let me ask you this. Are you doing survey? You know what? How many people in this classroom are doing surveys with their clients? Raise your hand. 3.
I do them at the end, but I want to start incorporating them more.
At the end of what?
After them working with me, whether they land a job.
How long are they working with you?
So the program's 3 months, but then also.
No. And I'm going to say why. So you're telling me that Joe Blow joins your program and has whatever experience. You guys know, come on, I'm not talking to preaching, I'm preaching to the choir. You guys know it's not like, oh, I love this program. This is what it's like, depending on how they're going, what's working, what's not working, are they getting it? It doesn't work. Corey, what the heck? You told me I'd have it. It doesn't work. And you're like, no, relax, keep going. And it's just a roller coaster. You need to be checking in, because if you check in at each dip, which in my opinion, a survey should be no less than a weekly cadence. If you're checking at each dip, if you're only at the end, you're getting where they landed. So if they landed on every week. So if they landed on this works, then you don't even know what the problems were. That they just walked away with this works, and all the issues that you could have made your program that much better for, you missed it because they're gone and they said it works, and you're feeling good about yourself and they're feeling good, and the missed opportunity is just like, you guys aren't even looking at us. But if you put it every week, you're going to catch the dip, you're going to catch the growth, you're going to catch all these things that by the time it gets to 3 months, you're going to have so much data. You just make those changes alone for like 3 or 4 clients, and you'll probably be able to raise your program $2,000 on that alone.
Samuel, how many questions is your survey? Because I just feel like every week to have them answer that many questions becomes very challenging.
5 questions.
Therapists do the same thing. Like when I was they send you these like surveys. It's like, what's the quality of our care? They're asking that every week.
If you really think about it, think about any like really good popular brand. They are throwing surveys at us like there's nothing better to do with our lives. We don't pay attention to it because we're so used to it. We're just like, oh yeah, I don't feel like it, or yeah, today I feel like it. Why shouldn't we be operating the same way? Because the reason why they're the powerful brand that they are is because they do this for so many people so often that they have the pulse of everything we're feeling. Why shouldn't we do the same thing with our clients? We should know. I want to know what they're thinking before they go to sleep. I want to know what they're thinking when they wake up. When they say, I don't like this, when they're complaining, I want to know exactly where it came from and why it exists. And I want to have things in place to address it immediately. You can't get that unless you have a very, very consistent survey.
Samuel, I want to add something here because I think it's really important. And before we jump into any like additional questions, is that I feel like your program has an energy level of where people want to be in the program. They want to do work. When they get a survey from you, they are excited to do it for you and give you that feedback. Whereas like, I think that's something I struggle with is getting clients who are that high energy and like, they don't see a survey as another thing they have to get done. Instead it's like something they're excited about. So I really admire that about you and like that's a part of your program. It's like it's a program you really want to be in and you will work hard to stay in. I like that.
I appreciate you, Ellie, but I'm going to break your heart right now.
Okay.
When I rolled all that stuff out, nobody did it. We had like a 5% success rate on that damn server. It was like, what the hell? I was sure. Like, when I introduced it, I was like, oh man, I'm going to have this survey. I'm going to know all this stuff. And I introduced it and I'm like, all right, guys, how many people took the survey? 100 students, 5 people took it.
Yeah.
3 weeks later, we're telling them every week. How many people now? Samuel, it's now 6. I mean, it was devastating. And I thought to myself, what is the goal here? Why aren't people doing this thing? And what I learned is it's not that my clients have high energy. I wish they did, Ellie. I wish they had high energy. It's that we've created a culture where if you don't show up with high energy, and you don't challenge yourself to bring high energy with your low energy self, whatever your reasons are, you're not going to get into this career. And if you want to get into this career, you're going to do what we say. And you're going to do what we say because you just spent a bunch of money. So let's go. That is what creates high energy. Nobody came with high. I mean, some people did, but nobody came with high energy. And I'll tell you this, guys. How many of you, I want to raise your hands here. How many of you rank your clients?
Oh, I love this.
Raise your hands. Oh. What, Corey? Hey,
My
come on,
God.
boy. That's what's up. Nobody else does?
And
I've
I don't
thought
have a
about it.
specific metric for me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but I
Then you
definitely
don't.
have
No,
favorite clients.
Corey, you just lost privileges. You don't rank your clients. If you don't have a specified, you don't rank your clients. So everyone here should be ranking their clients. Why do you think you guys should do that? Anybody can answer.
Is it like a leaderboard, like the psychological
No,
challenge of a
No
leaderboard?
leaderboard. Your clients should not even know what.
Oh,
rank
okay. It's a
every client.
personal ranking. I understand.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
I
the
think that's where you
psychology
should
of
put
it
your
is
time.
Spencer was next. Go ahead.
I think it's where you put your time as a coach. You put more energy into the people that are higher.
We're getting warmer.
And
We're getting warmer. Give me another reason. Somebody.
Yeah, so the lowest ranking guy would be where the most opportunity is to increase the overall.
Oh
And
man, who is this guy? Okay, so you nailed it. So here's the thing. You have to rank your clients because you guys are going to see that not every client is the same. And as much as we want to believe that, like, oh, I found the perfect avatar, here he is, let's go. No, it doesn't exist. You're gonna so I'll just give you our ranking and I'll explain the philosophy behind it. So we have rock stars, averages, difficult, and problematics. So what does that all mean? So the rock stars, we have an assessment, guys. They take an assessment. Now you can pick any assessment. That's not like pick this assessment. Just pick any assessment. But they take an assessment that lets us know a little bit about who they are. They get interviewed by 3 different high-ranking people in our company that lets us know a little bit more who they are, and then we put them into those categories. The rock stars are the people that it doesn't matter what resource you put in front of them, they're going to get this job. Maybe it take them a little bit longer, but they're going to get this job. And just because they're in our program, they don't have to go to a single training class. They're going to get this job because they're rock stars, and they're the kind of person that just takes any resource thrown at them and makes good on it. Then we have average, and averages are people that are average, right? They're not rock stars, but they want to be. And, with a little bit of motivation, a little bit of hand holding, a little bit of this is how you do it. Pay attention. This is how you do it. They will get the job. Then you have your difficult. And those are the people that there's a glaring issue, arrogant or ridiculously shy or a glaring issue that they can't see that's getting in their way. And then you have the problematics, and those are the people that you kind of don't want in your program. When we did that, I mean, the level of insight it gave us was amazing. And then we put ourselves in a position to say, let's put all our energy into the average. By doing this, our rock stars got positions that much faster. Our difficults learned how to become average, and our problematics, that was more of a sales effort. We had to help our salespeople not let those people into the program. But the point is, by having that differentiation, you're going to have all this insight into your business that's going to allow you to make some really powerful moves and get the right type of people into your company. I think no one talks enough about, everybody's saying, get clients, get leads, get clients, get leads. There needs to be a whole thing on get the right client, get the right lead. The longer you are away from getting the right client and the right lead, the longer your business is away from being what it's supposed to be. And ask Daniel, if you develop the process from marketing to sales to client happiness to success, all of you are inevitable, multimillionaires, right? If that's your angle, or all of you are inevitably going to impact 1 million people. If that's your angle, whatever your mission is, once you get that system down, your mission becomes inevitable. And I'm saying it that way because there was a time when me and Daniel, we didn't know how this happens. We didn't know if this actually works. Everybody's claiming to have the secret sauce. But then we just started dialing it down to the process that we're talking about today. And it literally became inevitable. So please rank your clients. It's going to take you guys far.
Samuel, man, I appreciate this because I think everything's so focused on sales and marketing, but the best coaches are the best operators. It's the systems, the processes, how is your client success department being managed, and how and I think if you hear a lot of Samuel's talk today, it's actually 80% focused on client success, like culture, operational systems, ranking your clients, bringing in experts, right? How do you add more value? Because the best marketing you could do is having a good product. Like your good product will get you leads, will get you clients, will get you referrals. if you have a good product, you're going to get more referrals, you're going to get more testimonials, which there's all the social proof that you need, and it's going to make marketing and sales that much easier. And he made the program very exclusive, which then obviously led to more sales, and he can make it exclusive because of the success rate. And I think who does this the best is universities. Universities don't have a sales team really. It's like, apply to work with us, and we reject 90% of you, and that makes people apply to work with us, and then we continue to increase tuition. And they just might still need to work on the client success, on the delivering of the value. I think on some majors more than others, but that's another conversation. But I think that's the positioning they do, is the exclusivity side of it.
Do we have time, Daniel? Because I want to answer some of these. Some of these are great questions, but it is
yeah. I think people
good, or
some people
not good?
I have time. We can stick around.
Okay,
yeah,
so then, because this is a fantastic question. I got to answer this. So this is please correct me if I pronounced your name incorrectly. Ritu, is that correct? Okay,
that's right.
So Ritu, very similar to Marisha's question. I have a full-time experience in finance as chartered accountant, which is something I can easily build credibility for and can vertically niche down. But I'm passionate about helping women and increasing confidence, something I have overcome over the basis of my program, which seems a bit difficult to sell because it's too generic. In your experience, okay, this turns me on. All right, so check it out. I'm just like you, Ritu. Like, my whole thing is not, of course, medical sales, and of course, but my thing is like, Tony Robbins is a fan. Me and Daniel, we're like Tony Robbins fans. We met. I mean, we went to the freaking UPW and we were vibing out. It was a whole thing.
We walked on together.
So you're right. So my whole thing is, I want to help people live better lives on a daily basis. I want to help people have more confidence. I want to help people minimally, not minimally, obliterate their self-limiting beliefs. Like I'm extremely passionate about those things, because when I learned how to do those things, my life took a different trajectory. And I learned that you can do it through your freaking niche. So in our program, so check it out, guys. In my program, it's all about medical sales. But in medical sales, there's a professional development center. In medical sales, there's the right way to think module. In medical sales, I have a confidence program that's run by a confidence coach. So what I'm telling you, Ritu, is go nuts. Don't worry about selling it as its own thing. Just infuse it into your program that already exists. If you want to sell confidence in women, infuse a confidence element into your program. When they get the results they want to get, let them know that the confidence seminar was a piece of it, and they should continue with that type of development. And this confidence program that you want to build will become a program on its own.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did that resonate?
Yeah, absolutely. So just a follow-up question on that. So are you saying that I should still focus on finance?
Focus on finance and then put confidence education into your finance course. Does that make sense? So now instead of saying, okay, finance 101, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to do this. And then module 2 is, let's talk about the confidence you have to have in finance. And then throw in all your confidence trainings and everything you want to teach them into, a finance module, and let it do its thing. And then when your clients get the success that you're claiming they're going to get in whatever amount of time, you can bring up the confidence module and say, you know what, you just finished. I love, you're about to rock it now that you've attained this. But you know what? Confidence is a real thing. And if you develop in this program, I want to make sure it's sustained throughout the rest of your career. I want you to take our confidence series. I'm going to give you a discount so you continue it. Let's go. You'll be surprised how many people will be happy to get involved.
Okay, something definitely to think about, because right now what I have a program is for confidence, but I had not niched it down to finance, because I am actually just passionate about helping women across the industries. But as I said, I'm a chartered accountant, and I can easily attract people within the same niche.
So let me tell you something, because this is gold. So I wanted to officially leave corporate and start a business in 2018. That was the official. We got our first client in 2019, and I went to a business coaching school. And at the business coaching school, I said, "Guys," they said, "What do you want to do, Samuel?" I said, "I want to help you with confidence. I want to eradicate limiting beliefs. I want to change people's lives." They said, "That's great. So does half of the country. What do you got going on that's unique to you that you can channel some of this passion you have through?" And I was like, well, I've been a medical sales rep for the last 20 years. They're like, well, why not that? And I'm like, oh, I don't want that. I'm medical sales my whole life, and it's all I know, and I want to get away from it. And they said, I understand that, but I want you to see it this way. You are a medical sales rep, and you are a man that cares about instilling confidence and changing people's lives. Why can't you see the value you can add to a medical sales rep's life, or someone that's not even a medical sales rep that wants that same confidence and opportunity to change? And like a light bulb, I was like, you are absolutely right. And look, now I have whole confidence seminars in the program. So I'm telling you that I think you should change the way you see it. I don't think you should look at it like, I want to do confidence, but I know finance. I think you should go to what you know. All of you, if you don't have your business yet, there's no more sensible thing to go to what you know. It's too easy for you. You got to do it. And then use that audience to teach them whatever you want to teach them, including confidence.
Thank you.
How many check-ins should you be doing with them? Like I said, weekly cadence. What do you ask them in these check-ins? So I ask them things like all the expectations of our program. I ask them, for example, we expect them to talk to their medical sales mentors every week. Have you talked to your medical sales mentor? We expect them to be working on something. What are you working on? We expect them. What are some of the other questions we ask? Do you know where you're supposed to go for this? Like, we have very specific things in our program that we got to make sure they know. Do you know where you're supposed to go? When you have an issue, do you know who you're supposed to ask? Right? That's something that we threw into our 5-question thing, because we need everybody to know that when they have an issue, they go to this person or that person. So we're not asking groundbreaking questions. We're asking questions that pertain to, are you doing what you're supposed to be doing in the program? And every week we get different answers, which allow us to take action on different things with the idea of, how do we address the maximum amount of people, we need to do this? How would you rank them? I explained that. Who asked? That was Sinto. Sinto, did I answer that question already, or
No, she had to leave, but
No.
you answered it. You
okay,
answered
answer that. And then okay, no, it looks like I answered everybody's questions. Does anybody have any other questions? Please
If I may
ask.
if I may ask a follow-up question. So a lot of what you mentioned, right, is from a hybrid coaching perspective, Samuel, right?
Yeah, it is.
So personally speaking, I'm a new to this career coaching
Yeah.
thing, and so I'm starting with a one-on-one. I think it makes sense logically for me. So
Sure.
any particular advice or thoughts that you would like to share, how to make the delivery more effective for one-on-one, or any general thoughts as well?
Modulate your program as fast as you possibly can.
What does that mean? Modulate.
So right now you're one-on-one, which means there's a lot of freestyling going on. There's a lot of, hey,
Yes.
I'm going to help you because you're nuanced, and I'm going to give you this answer, but I'm not going to give this person that answer. As fast as you can, turn your one-on-one experiences into a modulated program that anyone can go through. As fast as you can. That, I wish somebody told me that in the beginning. I mean, Daniel ultimately told me that, but I wish more people told me that, because that changes everything. When you modulate your program, you're not going to address everybody, but you're going to start building a foundation that will ultimately be able to address everybody. If you continue with this one-on-one thing, you're never quite going to capture the essence of what's going on in your services. Modulating your program will do that for you.
But like the sequencing, one-on-one, then you're gonna start being really repetitive. Then you're gonna find what's the 20% of things that 80-20. And then you're gonna be able to modulate 80% that you're repeating yourself over and over. And now you're still delivering one-on-one on the 20% is different to all your clients.
And I would say this too. Shinton.
Yeah.
Get to group sessions as fast as you can. I was one-on-one forever, and I was like, no, one-on-one, I get all this nuanced, I get to learn what they're really going through. And then and then when I finally started doing group sessions, I was like, what the heck? These guys are, when you have 5 people in the same room with the same problem, all trying to, the speed at which you get to the right answer is there's no way you can recreate that one-on-one. And then if that's your experience and you modulate that, you have that much more of a powerful program. So I would say your first step, get to group sessions as fast as you can, and then modulate those group sessions as fast as you can, and you're on your way.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much, Samuel.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how many what would an average number of client be, like 25 clients or a year time? How do I measure that pace if I'm looking at it accurately? Like,
Okay, yeah, I think I get what you're asking. Group sessions, do that as fast as you can. My whole thing is I never, we have in our current cohort, we have 100 people in our current cohort. I never go over 15 people a class, never. And if I was first starting out, I would never go over 5 people a class. So I would say keep your groups to 5 people and no more. Modulate that. Once you modulate that, you can go bigger.
got it.
I would still stick to don't go bigger than 15, so that everybody gets a voice and everybody can
Right.
ask and participate. And as
Got
far as the speed, that's as fast as you are comfortable. So if you do one class with 5 people and you're able to modulate it out and it makes super sense, and you want to test it out in your next class, go for it.
Got it.
And then I would even say, once you've modulated it, go back to your previous class and say, hey guys, you remember all that stuff I helped you with? And then you guys are now living. I want you to come back real quick and help me take this modulated course and tell me what you think, because I'm rolling it out to that many more people. I think that's a great way to do this.
Got it. That sounds exciting. Thank you. Any particular resource you would point to for learning how to modulate it better or faster, maybe?
Sure. So when I say modulate, I'm not talking some complicated thing. This is what I mean. Right now, you should modulate your program. So even with one-on-one, you should sit down and say, okay, what am I really doing here? For the first 10 minutes, what's happening? For the next 10 minutes, what's happening? For the next 10 minutes, what's happening? What is supposed to be learned from this session with me today? And what is the expectation of this person that's going to meet with me today? Have that all listed out. That's part of modulation. When you actually modulate, that first 10-minute segment becomes a video. And that video should be no more than 5 minutes. And that video should either explain something, some work someone's going to do, explain the concept, or just be a series of explaining the concept, no longer than 5 minutes. That's literally modulating your program.
Got it. Okay, makes sense. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Any last questions?
I have one question.
Ask away.
So hey, sorry, my wife came in and completely derailed my thought. Question was on pricing for the course. So the high ticket item, at least for me right now, is the one-on-one session, right? If I go to a group session, do I have to reduce the price so that keep the price the same?
If not higher,
that's the part that I'm not getting.
You know, can we get specific? I mean, are you okay with saying numbers, or is that not okay over here?
I don't mind.
Okay, yeah,
like 31.25.
So how much is your one-on-one?
31.25 for 12 sessions.
So 30, so about 30 grand. How much is your
No, I'm saying 3,100.
Okay.
30 grand, man. Yeah, I wish.
Okay. I mean, look, if you sticking with Daniel, and you will inevitably get to 30 grand. Mark my words. So, okay, so let's talk about it. So then, all right, you have 3,000 right now, and now you want to go to group course. Okay. You got to incentivize them to do the group course, so that maybe a little dip in your prices, right? But think of it this way. I would say your one-on-one should be way more, and your one-on-one should be harder to access. If you were to flip the script tomorrow and say, look, guys, from now on, it's going to be groups of 3, and each person is going to pay $2,800 instead of the 3,000 you've been paying. And if you want time with me, because of where the business is going, it's now going to be 5 grand. Just indulge me. What do you think that would do to your business today?
Some people would definitely drop.
Okay.
Because they don't have the means at the moment.
So hold on before you jump in, Daniel. So if we drop that to 3,500 to get you exclusively and 2,500 for the group, what are you thinking?
I might get some signups for the group.
Okay. This is mine. Now, Daniel might differ in this. I say get to groups as fast as possible. Get yourself out of the one-on-one time as fast as possible. To get me for one-on-one, because Daniel's my boy, but if anybody else was doing this, I cost no less than $700 for 1 hour of my time because of what can happen with my groups. And it literally does not make financial sense for me to do anything otherwise. So that's how you need to be thinking. And the only way to get there is group, right? You shouldn't be that accessible. Getting one-on-one time with you should be something that people dream about doing, not something that people get sold on doing. Does that make sense? Daniel's like, this guy's messing up my whole thing.
It's not. I think. No. I think
I didn't teach that last week. Damn it.
No. First, I think it's important to address that there's multiple routes to the same destination, right? And there's multiple variables. To me, like Jonathan, based on what I know of your business and our conversation that we had, right? I don't think you separate the offer. I think it's one offer that's a hybrid offer. That there is a level of one-on-one, but 99% of the coaching comes from modules and from group coaching. And then it might be some one-on-one aspect to it, which that one-on-one is to you today, but tomorrow that's a contractor. Like I think Samuel and I both started doing a lot of one-on-one, but both Samuel and I don't do one-on-one in our career coaching businesses. Like they don't have access to us. They have access to our team. They have access to our experts. They have access to that. Now, I think it's important to understand, like today, when you first start your business on day one, you are the CEO, the CFO, the HR person, the marketer, everything. So it's one thing of building a hybrid program where today they have access to you one-on-one, but 6 months from now, you're replacing yourself. You hire a resume writer to do resume, so you're no longer doing resume. You hire recruiters to do mock interviews. You're no longer doing mock interviews. You're hiring different partners, contractors, VAs to support you on the growth of your business. But to me, I don't think you separate those places. I always think like, hey, one product, one avatar, until you get to at least $500,000, simplify your business. And to me, I actually think you sell it for $5,000. There's an element of one-on-one with you until they get a job. And now with those $5,000, you now have money inside to bring in experts that are better than you at different stages, like resume writing. Because at $3,000, there isn't enough margin for you to successfully be able to hire the right qualified partners, right? And so that's I think that is, I think for your audience of software engineers, going back to Samuel, even his very own advice, that's extremely cheap. That is lower than the average of the market. People, if you're helping people get $150,000 plus jobs in software engineer, you need to be charging $7,000 or more. Right. And so to me, at $7,000, you now have budget to bring in the right partners to not have to do all the one-on-one yourself.
And you know, I gotta say this, Daniel, because I didn't understand the value of this until, of course, we did it, and now it's like, what the heck? You guys got to get salespeople as soon as you can. If you don't have them already, put yourself in a position to not sell your own program. And it's not because you can. Of course, we all started that way. I sold my program. Daniel sold his program. We just had to in some cases. And if we have a completely new specialized program, I might have to hit the sales again just to learn how to sell it and how to do it. So my sales reps, that will never have to happen to me because we have a whole sales team now. But I'm just saying, like, I get that you'll have to do it, but seriously be of the mindset that you can get yourself out of that sales role as fast as possible. Because once you give the sales of your business to someone that can solely focus on it, it's night and day. There's the things that they'll be able to do and tell you, and the things you'll be able to focus on and bring back to them, and the unity that you guys will create that will allow for way more sales and way better offerings. It's unbelievable. And if somebody told me, hey man, when you get to selling your product, get a salesperson as fast as you can, we would probably be where we are today. We would have been here maybe 3 years ago. And it's just like that. So I don't know if Daniel's told you this. I don't know if anyone's telling you this, but I'm telling you this. All of you, get yourselves to get out of you selling your product as soon as you can.
But what is, I love that advice, but when it go back to where you guys are today, for most of you that I know where you guys are today, you won't be able to attract a good salesperson until you have a good product. Like,
okay. Yeah, that only applies to those of you that have products to sell. If you don't have your product yet, get
like, you can't hire the salesperson without having all the modules. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like there's like levels to the game. And so like, I think out of you guys here, like you guys need to really get to the point where your product doesn't have to be perfect, but it needs to be 80% there. And you have your systems and you have that needs to be in place first, because you're not going to be able to have a good salesperson if they don't feel like they're selling.
Yeah, no, this is true. I didn't say don't do the other things that Daniel needs you to do to get there. I said get there as fast as you can.
Yes,
because if you do,
that is the prereq. That is the prereq. That is. I just want to, because I don't want you guys to be like, you know what? The last thing I heard is hire a good salesperson. You stop building the product. You go hire the salesperson, and that salesperson is going to last 2 weeks because they're like, dude, what do you want me to sell? Like, you don't even have enough leads for me to take. Because if you don't have a certain amount of sales calls for them,
the demand has to be there. The demand has to be there. But I'm telling you guys, when you guys figure it, because look, you're with Daniel. So your demand is, Daniel's like I will create the demand king. I mean, yeah, watch. Once you get there, though, don't sleep on the salesperson. Don't be like, well, I got the demand now, I'm going to sell everybody. No, get out of that position as fast as you can.
I'll be the first. Like, and I think that and I know that not like for the people that I work with a lot, like I know Kyle and Spencer, like a lot of this is that I am the one, like I can see 2-3 steps where you're about to go to that I'm already saying, like, and Spencer, me and you talk about this. I'm like, this is the next bottleneck you're about to encounter. Let's start overcoming it. Whenever I think Kyle, you were probably a couple of months away from a salesperson, right? Kyle, I don't know if you're I know you've been muted, you're probably babysitting. I know you messaged me, right? Like you're taking care of the kids, but I think that's the power of like the coach of like somebody who's been there, done that, who's like, hey, you're about like this is the bottleneck we need to fix first. Then it comes this. So it's like product. Yeah, I know you are probably maybe like what I think to me, once you have like consistent 10 sales calls a week, then you can hire a part-time salesperson. Like some weeks is 15 sales calls, some weeks is 5, but like you're not gonna find a good salesperson commission only or like in a way like that that's gonna do it when like, oh, you got 2 sales calls for me this week. Like that's not enough. That's not enough. It's not enough. Yeah. You're so there, Kyle. I'm telling you, I think that is once you finish your rebranding, once you finish the product side, because you already have a proven product, you already have the funnel set up. Then as a salesperson. Yeah. I mean, Sam, I mean, I'm like borrowing your time. I know how, like, so
I have to go. I have to go. I can hang out for 6 more minutes. I have another presentation in 6 minutes.
So, yeah.
And if you're hanging out for 6 minutes, I'd love to ask a question.
Go, Spencer, go. Take it. Let's go.
Spencer, you better ask, man.
Yeah. So can you tell me a little bit how you transitioned into this staffing agency part of the business? Just because I've been considering trying to implement something like that to add value to my program, right? Like, hey, Spencer's got first dibs on these engineering jobs, right? So if you want first dibs to get into this company or something, join Spencer's program.
So we're being a little insidious with it. So what we're doing is we're targeting companies. And when we get 10 people from our program into that company, we're going to the company and saying, yo, we got 10 people into your company. They're all performing. You should come to us for candidates. And we're only going to charge you $3,000 to $5,000. That's it.
But the sequencing there, right? He's saying 10 clients. So like you can't like it's 10 clients in one company. I actually think, man, you should have done that when you get to 3.
Right. Yeah, we went a little overboard. We don't need to do 10, but I mean,
you don't need 10. Like
we wanted to do 10 because we just want to be like,
that's the first one.
Recruiters get what, 20%, 15%. So we're saying, so let me tell you the system, and then maybe that'll be better than just telling you the numbers. The system is get a bunch of people into the company, make it just unavoidable to see that we can get quality into your company, charge them a rate that's significantly lower than what they normally charge, and then slowly raise that rate on them and always keep it under what they normally charge. And it works, man. It works. It just works. So and that's how we got into the staffing side. You know, you guys are revolutionizing career coaching. I'm trying to revolutionize the recruiting industry. I'm trying to change the game as far as medical sales are concerned into how companies can acquire top talent and how top talent can get access. And this is the way we are doing it.
So you do a lot of technical training in your program to make sure that they are top talent, right?
Oh yeah. So in our program, we, all these medical sales programs say you join our program, we're going to make you an orthopedic medical sales rep. We're going to teach you how to do surgeries. We're going to teach you how to show up in the surgery room. We're like, no, join our program. We're going to sit down and we're going to figure out what medical sales space even makes sense for you. And if you listen to the medical sales podcast, we have like over 250 different specialties on that thing. You have heard something, and don't worry if you haven't, we're going to help you find it. And then based on your background, your history, your lifestyle desires, the money you want to make, how much time you want to spend with your wife or your husband or your kids, then we're going to help you find a specialty that makes sense. Then you got to get vetted by the experts from that specialty. And if they say that, yeah, it does make sense, it's golden. If they don't, you're going right back to the drawing board. We're going to help you find a different specialty. That device alone has allowed us to just create amazing top talent, right? Because now people are going to where their strengths are. They're not being forced into something they don't fit in. And now we're leveraging that success to the companies that want top talent.
Spencer,
Awesome.
that's chapter 15, right? Like, and that's where I would say, I know the staffing agency side obviously is great, but that is more of like a 2025 goal. Like it's going to be, we got to get more placement, like clients to be able to get more placements, to be able to then be able to build those relationships and understand audit. But yeah, man, I think like that's like the long-term vision. Is like, that's why owning the industry becomes great, because anything medical sales related, evolve your success becomes the company.
Yeah. And we're going to capitalize on all of it. You know, we're doing executive coaching now. We're doing even more advanced training programs. Now we're even going as far as there's orthopedic, there's neuromodulation, there's spine, there's vascular, there's all these different specialties. Now we have a medical sales career builder ortho program. And now we're not taking just, $7,500 up front and then 5% of your base salary. We're taking 7,500% up front and then 10 to 20% of your base salary. And guys, we have a freaking waiting list. So to Daniel's point, when you focus on your niche and all the different possibilities, the opportunities are endless.
Much clearer route. Yeah, and he's not even talking about the opportunities of companies hiring him to train the salespeople now. And
which we're also doing. I didn't even get to that business. Yeah.
So like, but all of that stems from owning the vertical, right? Like owning the vertical, and I think that's like, he becomes the talent solution for medical sales. Like, it's genius. It's which is, guys, going back to. And if you guys, the people who know me longer, like Spencer and Kyle, you guys know, like, I'm the first one to say, hey, I did this part of the business right and follow it to the T what this works really well. And this is the parts that I wish I would have done it differently if I were to go back in time, which is where I think you guys should do versus what I did, which I went horizontal, going back to full circle to the beginning of this conversation as we wrap it up. I went horizontal and now look back at it because of my, like, essentially weekly interactions with Samuel. He was like, he did that right. Right. And there's parts of it where I did right that he then said, Dim, you killing it. I'm going to implement that into my business. Right. So I think, like, I was the one who did the podcast. I was like, dude, you need to start the podcast. And then he did the podcast. Right. Like, there's so many instances where we are learning from each other. There was one area, like, that part of the niche is where we did not, what's it called, that we did not agree on, which is the horizontal versus vertical. And he was right on that. He was dead on that side of the business. Now, I think that's where I share those. I share my wins, but I also share my losses with you guys so that you guys don't make the mistakes that I did.
So I got to go, guys, but I'm gonna leave you with this. Daniel is the truth. I'm not saying this because I'm his, business bestie. I'm saying this because we literally did have those weekly conversations for the better half of a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah.
If not longer. And it was those conversations that got us to where we are today. And that is what he's turned into, an amazing program for you to give you firsthand. This is my personal opinion. You guys aren't going to get this kind of education from any other program. That's my assistant calling me for the meeting the presentation I'm supposed to be giving. I'm gonna say this. You guys aren't going to get it from any other program. Stick with this guy. Listen to this guy. No one will work harder to help you fulfill your dreams. And thank you for coming today. It was wonderful meeting you all.
Samuel, the man.
Guys. Bye.
Real quick, I want to share something just before about Samuel. The craziest part about him and his story and his business has grown. He has a full-time W-2 job.
Right now?
Right now, to this day.
What are you talking about? Okay.
To this day. That's like, Shaitan, I'm saying that to you because I know he has a full-time job. Now, I will say the caveat there is that he is in sales and he's been in medical sales for 20 years. So he's really good at it. And in sales, you can work part-time if you have the relationship and you just build a quota. So he's probably not, I don't know how many hours where I probably don't like that. Allegedly he can, but he's been able to pull it and he's just has higher full-time persons to do it. But that's just to give you guys an idea. All right. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Samuel. I know it was a long video, but it was packed of value. One of my favorite things to take away from that video is how he ranks his clients and attaches resources depending on where the level of clients is. Look, this is the type of conversations that are happening all the time inside of our career coaches community. So if you found value in this and you are a career coach, go ahead and join our free community that is set up just for career coaches. It is free, and you'll be able to attend this live sessions once a week. Thank you so much for listening. If you haven't done so already, don't forget to like and subscribe, and see you guys in the next video. Bye.